Hey again, everyone. Welcome into another edition of Miami Hurricanes Live. This is Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And we can't wait to talk to you about the big game on Saturday night. Miami, Clemson, both teams at 3-0. Of course, Clemson's ruled the ACC since 2015. Miami once ruled college football from about, the early 80s into the 90s. But the deal right now is the Hurricanes trying to show the world, at least College Football Nation and the ACC, that they're back and ready to challenge Clemson. All right, we have broken down this game from a number of angles. Please check out the previous videos. We looked at Rhett Lashley's offense with De'Ara King, of course, running the controls with Justin DeTavio of State of the U. We also have a number of angles from the Clemson side, including tonight. Lock it in, Miami fans. And, of course, all college football fans for the big game. Tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time, Thursday night, I have on a number of Clemson folks from the Clemson side going to talk up the big game so you can hassle them, trash talk with them, and that should be a good time when we have Pigskin Pete and Bobby Durkins on tonight to talk Clemson and Miami from the Tigers standpoint. And, again, it should be a whole lot of fun with you guys conveying and conversing with them in, of course, a very respectful and professional manner. Which leads me to the comments I've received this week. I will let you know that we had scheduled the Wholesome One, but he had a number of things crop up in the last couple hours and not able to meet us here for the live stream, unfortunately. Hopefully, we'll be able to kick that back into gear on Friday. But it gives me an opportunity to respond to the comments that I've received over the last several days concerning my take on Miami football, the game against Clemson, and other interesting nuggets. Thank you so much for the super chat. Somebody kicking in here, and I don't have my glasses on, so I got to blow up the screen. You hear me? Can you hear me? Thank you so much for hanging in there, everyone. I was just about to say, actually, I was saying and didn't realize that nobody could hear me or see me, that I'm sure that many of you that are owners of MacBook Pros or MacBooks in general can relate that I pretty much just wiped myself off the screen by trying to blow up the screen to read Ronan's comment. Ronan, thank you so much for your contribution here. Some people get it, and certainly, Ronan, you do get it because you understand the challenge that we have and the vision, and it's an exciting one. So when I say a challenge, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And somebody is certainly taking this as a possible call-in show. Maybe not. No. That would be coming in from somewhere else. All right. Let's bypass that. And we'll continue on here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So, Ronan, again, thank you so much, and it's great to be back. All right, and I will run through your comments. I'll go through the comments that we received, and that should take about 18 hours because we received all sorts of comments. And, of course, I want to acknowledge everybody in the live chat. Again, the Wholesome One was going to join us today. Not his fault. Had a number of things jump up that were just a little bit more important. And the Wholesome One will join us hopefully on Friday to preview Clemson and Miami and take your comments and questions. But you're going to have to do it with me. Here we go. Let's go through the live chat. And again, the comments to the videos have been amazing. So thank you for that. All right. Baby Shack 569's on the line. Repping the U, of course. We've got Long Live the King, which, of course, could be translated De'Ara King. I don't know where that was derived from. Elvis Presley, LeBron James, and Richard Petty. A lot of people have dubbed themselves the King. Michael Jackson, of course, Elvis never did it himself. He had others do it. He didn't like the name. All right, we got EJ's on the line. Finally made it to a live show. Yeah, this one kind of cropped up on us late when the Wholesome One and I were trying to put together a time. So we determined a few hours ago that we'd be able to jump on. Yes, 904 Hurricane, hashtag Live Squad. And thank you so much for encouraging everyone to hit that like button. So hit the like button, make your comments, of course, here in the live chat, but also to the videos. That helps us out as well. And of course, you can contribute via the super chat. Thank you so much again, Ronan. We've got Zachary checking in from work. Happy to see you back, Mark. Keep up the great content. Zachary, I've never seen your handle before, but I'm glad to hear that you enjoy what we deliver here. You may not always agree with my opinion. We certainly take the Miami angle. It is the Miami channel. We take the Miami angle. We present to you the people that you enjoy most. Cam Underwood, the Wholesome One, and others. We had Paul from Paul's Scoop on the U on recently. Justin Tatavio to break down the X's and O's. We just posted that this morning. And of course, then you get stuck with me. But I think it's a good slap in the face once in a while to have a neutral, not a hater, not anything close to a hater, picking you to go 8-4 in a 6-6 season last year, picking you 9-3 2 years ago when you went 7-5. I just call it like it is. Is the analysis perfect? Is the perspective perfect? No, that does not exist anywhere. But at least I back it up with the facts and logical perspective. That's our goal. Bo's joining us. Bo, good to see you. Looking forward to the show tonight. Bobby and Pete are great. 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight, folks. So be ready for that. Ian, watching from Germany, or will be, the game. 2 a.m. in Germany. All right. Which is not an issue for me. Fits right into my schedule. 904 Hurricane. Owns and runs landscape company. Pulled my phone out between jobs and bam, there we are. It's all about the U. Appreciate Baby Shack 569 on the line. Yeah, we've got a comment here. Miami actually has a chance this year. Finally, Lashley has transformed the offense to what it should have been. So it seems the very obvious solution to all this, at least through 3 games, has been get a quarterback who can make the right decisions, understands the offense, can run the offense, and then also has the dynamic running ability that De'Ara King has to add to the capable passing, and then get the guy on the sideline running the show that's calling the plays that set up a defense. And we've broken down some plays, and certainly our guy Justin Tatavio did the other day. So check out that video in which it wasn't the Miami skill and speed that made the difference on a particular play, but it was simply setting up the defense, giving them a look, and then boom, there's something off that look that they did not anticipate. And that's all about not just the play calling in the moment, that play call, but it was all the play calls that led up to setting up that play. All right, got Shay, who is a enormous fan of mine, apparently. Just saw Shay show up here recently, and she enjoys the commentary from me. Certainly would not like to see anybody else on this channel. Shay, I'm sorry. We bring on other analysts that focus on Miami. I know that you just want to hear from me. I know, Shay. But we like to share the wealth. We like to get different perspectives. Again, I know that you just want to hear from me. B is telling us Miami has not lost in Death Valley. Of course, Miami joined the ACC in 2004, 2005, something in that range, 4 or 5. So they have played Clemson once every 6 years. They played them in, of course, the ACC championship game in 2017. They had the annihilation at home in 2015, so they must have played them the time before that must have been 2009. We'll have to check that one out. But it's only about every 6 years when that other division opponent comes up. And of course, they weren't supposed to play this year. D. Hernandez, Clemson's young offensive line hasn't faced a defensive line like Miami's. Even Clemson's O-line isn't comparable due to youth. So that's been something that I've been harping on in regards to even going back into the offseason. When I was thinking about who could beat Clemson this year, Miami was the first team that came to mind. For most people, because of Notre Dame's record in recent years and them being the clear second best team, not necessarily this year, follow me, coming into this year, they have been, over the last 4 or 5 years, the other best team in the ACC after Clemson. Of course, they play 5 or 6 games against ACC opponents. They're not in the conference, but they are this year. But Notre Dame has clearly been looking at all the other programs since Florida State fell off the cliff in 2017 after a good 2016 season, finishing in the top 10, winning the Orange Bowl, that Notre Dame has clearly been the best team other than Clemson out of the collection of teams currently in the ACC. But even though that's the case coming into this year, Notre Dame coming off another top 10 finish at 11-2 last year, when I looked at the schedule, I thought Miami's the team that has the capability athletically, and because of what D. Hernandez is talking about right there, from a defensive line standpoint, especially the rush ends. Super Bowl 40, whatever it was, 2008, Tom Brady, 18-0, New England, Randy Moss on the outside, weapons all over the place. And Tom Brady spent most of the night with a hand in his face or on his back against the New York Giants. So Jason Pierre-Paul and Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan made life miserable on Tom Brady, much like Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche. And when I made that projection back in the offseason that Miami could be Clemson's most difficult game, of course, I was hoping Greg Russo would be there to help out my angle on that. But he, of course, has opted out. But with 3 state-of-the-art defensive ends, Miami could really make it difficult. But they've got 2 left, certainly, and not that the other guys aren't capable. Got Mike Jeezy on the line. We're about to make that something crib again. Yeah, I got you. Been seeing a lot of hashtags with the crib. Got ABD Entertainment on the line. This isn't the 2017-2018 Clemson defensive line. Even with Tyler Davis, they aren't frightening, just young and athletic, and of course missing 2 of their most prominent players against Virginia this last game that we don't know. Last I heard, whether they'll be back. It's not like the NFL where we get injury reports throughout the week, so we don't know. Mike Jeezy likes the Canes to win at 41-24. I would certainly take Clemson in 2 touchdowns. Mike Jeezy, if you can contact me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. All right, we got D. Hernandez on the line. Miami's tight ends will make major plays versus Clemson's D. Will Mallory, and of course, as Cam Underwood says, the best tight end in the nation, Brevin Jordan. Kyle Pitts, Brevin Jordan. Yeah, I can see that. Miami Flow Football, thank you so much for the welcome back. It is great to be back in the chair and talking college football. Absolutely. Chaos Kane, for the first time, I was very disappointed in you. Disappointed with me. On your show, you said even if Miami beat Clemson, that they could still be considered the better team. Okay. Let me explain this. There's only about 52 ways to explain this, but I'll take 1 or 2 different angles that are very clear to see. I said that Miami possibly could show me such a performance that they could walk off the field on Saturday night, and I would believe that Miami is the better team, that my mind would be changed by a certain performance. But most likely, I felt as though Miami would have to play a superior game to Clemson, meaning Clemson would have to play slightly down to Miami for Miami to win the game. Miami's certainly capable of winning the game. I just outlined why I thought they were the best threat to Clemson's undefeated season this year, more so than North Carolina. Well, Clemson doesn't play North Carolina, Notre Dame, or anybody else on Clemson's schedule, that I thought Miami had the best shot. Okay. What I'm stating here, Chaos Gain, is that Miami, the team that you have right now, with all the players that were lost last season going into this year, you did add a quarterback who's much better. Of course, you do have two emerging running backs, freshman running backs that are exceptional. But the core of the team is the same. Okay. I don't know that anybody that watches college football would tell you that Louisiana Tech, FIU, Duke, and Georgia Tech are all better than Miami. Do you think at the end of last season that there is anybody covering college football that would have told you all those teams are better than Miami? Georgia Tech, FIU, a marginal team in the group of five, Louisiana Tech, and Duke, who went 5-7. All those teams beat Miami. So what you're telling me is that as soon as those teams walked off the field, that we should have proclaimed Duke better than Miami, FIU better than Miami, Georgia Tech better than Miami, Louisiana Tech better than Miami. And I am all about results. Those teams should be given credit for the win. They won the game fair and square, but it is still my right to have an opinion and evaluate the teams based on the entirety of the season, based on the talent on the roster, to say, I know what I just saw, and Duke beat Miami fair and square. Credit Duke with a win, of course. Discredit Miami with a loss, but I still evaluate Miami as the better team. Same thing could happen here. Miami could win this game 31-28. It's one game. Miami wins this game, it's going to be huge, huge. Biggest win for the program, certainly since 2017, coming down the stretch against Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, but potentially the biggest win for this program since 2002, 2003, if they take care of business after the Clemson game. But we could be sitting here in November, and I'm not expecting Miami to beat Clemson, then collapse. But let's say Miami loses a few games and Clemson continues to dominate the ACC. Clemson wins 31. Check that. Miami wins 31-28. Great game. Clemson proceeds to dominate the rest of the league. Miami plays well, but loses a few games. They finish 8-3. They lose 3 games. Still a good team, 8-3. Clemson's 10-1. My evaluation on those two teams is that most likely, if Clemson is dominant for the rest of the season, that they're still a better team. My examples, I could be here all day giving you examples of lesser teams that beat better teams. And it was proven throughout the rest of the season that the one team was better. That doesn't discredit being better on that given day, and that doesn't discredit the win fair and square. Clemson lost to Pitt in 2016 and won the national championship. Pitt went 8-5. Pitt was not better than Clemson. Syracuse at 4-8 beat Clemson in 2017. They didn't even make a bowl game, and Clemson went on to the college football playoff as the dominant team in the ACC. Clemson was better than Syracuse. Syracuse beat them on a given night. And the examples continue on and on and on and on and on. All right. I guess I probably won't even get to my comments over here, but I got D. Hernandez with a score of 31-21 Canes. Well, that's certainly a great point. D. Hernandez, Borregales will hit all the kicks we should expect, and not just the makeable ones for most kickers in college football. But when he lined up at the end of the first half against Louisville and just drove home that 56-yarder, not that we didn't have evidence of that before because he was a tremendous kicker at FIU, but that Miami had in stark contrast to what they struggled with last year in the kicking department, suddenly had this guy that was lethal from inside the 50. That's a difference maker, can be a difference maker. This team could have gone into this season adding De'Ara King and Red Lashley and had just as good a team outside of Borregales, but been down 31-30 with 13 seconds left with the ball at the Clemson 30 and had to make a difficult decision whether to trot somebody out for the 50-50 kick, a Bubba Baxa type, or to go for it. Whereas now it's let's go win the game, send out the kicker, Borregales. He's going to nail a 47-yarder. That could be enormous in this game. An enormous difference from last year in which you can tie the losses to Florida, North Carolina, those two in particular, there's a few others, directly to field goal kicking. Big Kane 1, appreciate it. Good to see you. Yeah, 15-point underdog. 15-point underdog. I don't quite see it that way myself, but certainly the past has shown that Vegas knows what it's doing. And Shay, I really can't do anything right. So we'll quit trying here. Mike Jeezy says betting trap. So where's the trap, Mike Jeezy? Didn't you just pick the Canes? I think the betting trap would be everybody thinking, well, we'll take the points because this is going to be a good football game. And then Clemson goes out there and wins by 17 points. Depends how you look at the betting trap. B is telling us empty Death Valley is just Dead Valley. And that was the other consideration I gave in the offseason when I gave Miami a really good shot at winning this game was the defensive end play, putting pressure on the quarterback, having the athletes that Clemson rarely sees until they get to the college football playoff. And then number 3, it's no longer Death Valley intimidation. It's Dead Valley. Good call, B. Luke, that would be a whole lot of fun. I don't believe that they're available. I could check, but that would be a whole lot of fun with a loaded group of Cam and Wholesome on the one side for the Canes, and then Pigskin Pete and Bobby Durkins talking Clemson, and just let them at it. We've done that on the Florida State side with the Canes and the Knowles analysts going at it, and I just stay out of the way. It's an easy hour for me. I'm entertained, and I just stay out of the way. Fred, thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your loyalty. You've been with us for quite some time, and thank you so much for that comment. So much appreciated. Yeah, the Canes have had some time off, of course. That has to be factored into it. Not that Manny Diaz has been a master at preparation during the bye week, but maybe he's learned something from 2019. D. Hernandez again, the tight ends. And also, if you lean one way as a defense, you take away from other ways. And you weigh their abilities, their strengths, what they do well versus your personnel, what you do well. And you take those risks on defense to load up against the run, to double this wide receiver, to lean on this side of the field in terms of shading the safety, all sorts of different things that can be done that are calculated risks. Brent Venables has quite a reputation. I think we saw this, even though it was not a successful effort in the national championship game last year. Look at the first 3 LSU drives. Brent Venables sent blitz packages and coverages at Joe Burrow and company that they did not expect, couldn't handle, and Clemson stopped him on the first 3 possessions. But 3 hours later, it was 42 points on the board for LSU because they had time to figure it out, and he could only do so much. The coaches on the other side are really good too. Typically. 904 Hurricane. Most fans think the game will be decided between Lashley and Venables. And he brings up a good point in regards to there's always a focus to a big game of somebody's got a vaunted offense and the other a great defense, or the coordinators are well versed and have a great resume on one side or the other. And then we forget the flip side of the Miami defense taking on the Clemson offense, or at least some people do. D. Hernandez, appreciate it so much. King of Battle mentioned Lashley being a candidate for a head coaching position, and this being a big game for him in that sense. D. Hernandez, thank you so much. And all I ask in return is please like the videos, share the videos on social media. So what I like to remind people there is that I have a Twitter account and I've got like 3,000 followers. So it's a very limited number of people. Most of those people I don't know. They just follow my work. Some of them are friends, but most of them just follow me for whatever reason. That's a very limited sample of people. So you guys, whether that be on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, have followings and have influence that I don't have. So please go out there and share the videos and let people know that we're here. What do we got here? Can you give any insight with COVID shirt? I know nothing is definite, but one media guy said Trevor Lawrence should stay another year if he goes to the Jets. How does the work with seniors, not just Miami, but I don't really understand that, except Trevor Lawrence, this is a common thought by fans in any given year that should that particular player, usually a quarterback, come out this year and go to that franchise, to a franchise that is certainly sabotaged careers, not knowingly, not intentionally. So there you go. Yes, we're looking for views, Luke, and especially now because I'm doing this full time, full throttle all the time, and I certainly need your support to eat. So even though I was doing it on the side before, I was certainly pouring my heart and soul into it. So Luke brings up a pretty obvious place right there. I'm just looking for views. So number one, we cover college football. So I cover the teams that I cover for 3 different reasons. There are 3 basic reasons why I cover the teams that I cover. Number one, they're relevant. They are the elite teams in college football, or the good teams, or the average teams, and there's a descending order in which I think, okay, anytime I open up the schedule for the next week, I think those are the big games. Those are the teams I need to cover. Or just in general, these are the big teams. Who's dominating the sport? Obviously, that's Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State on down the line. Then it goes down the line into Notre Dame and Penn State and Michigan and others. And that's a priority. I do not favor Michigan over Purdue for any other reason except that they're typically better than Purdue and more people are interested. So that brings me to point number 2, is that we cover the teams that people are interested in and have shown to be interested in, at least the people that watch me. There are certainly teams that don't do well on my site, but I still need to cover them to a certain extent. And also, I am looking to find that fan base because we can bring in that particular fan base. And then point number 3 is basically that it comes down to, in addition to my own analysis, bringing in media guests that are engaging, entertaining, informative, insightful. And there are certain teams that I've not been able to find anyone that fits that bill. All right, Daniel, when they score, we score. When we score, we stop them. There's the formula. There it is. You sound like most of the analysts we see during the games right before the game or at halftime. If Miami can make some big plays on offense, some really explosive chunk plays, protect the football, not turn it over, get the ground game going, and continue to move the sticks and put up points, that's a good sign. While the defense contains Clemson's high-scoring offense, maybe creates a few turnovers, plays good red zone defense, maybe holds them to some field goals, that's a good formula. That's a good formula for every game. Miami, yes, is back on the big stage. The Club King joins us. Michael, just ready for the big game. Go Canes. Texas A&M, Texas A&M. I love when people try to guess who I root for, and somebody can spoil it in the chat if you'd like. I would rather you not, but that's fine because I've said it hundreds of times. But the point being is that our approach is neutral, to stay on task, to analyze college football from a neutral perspective, as neutral as possible. Sam, since joining the ACC, Miami's won all games in Death Valley. Clemson has won every game in the 305. So I'm just asking, how many games is that in Death Valley? I'm guessing 1, maybe 2. Let's go to the board. I think it's 1. I think Miami's 1-0 in Death Valley. That's my guess. Miami against Clemson. Of course, we know what happened in 2017 and 2015. 1 a neutral site, 1 in Miami. Since then, they played in 2010 in Miami. Miami won 30-21. No. I'm sorry. At Clemson against a 6-7 Clemson team. So that was certainly Clemson before Clemson. That was Dabo Swinney's second season, right? 2009. So this was in 2010. Canes win at 30-21 at Clemson. The Canes lost to Clemson at home in 2009. Miami won at Clemson. There you go. There's 2 games. They won at Clemson in 2005, 36-30 against an 8-4 Clemson team. And I think that's going to be it. Yeah, they lost to Clemson at home the year before in 2004. And they were in the ACC before that. Or they were in the Big East before that. 2004 was the year. I always forget 2003, 2004. 2004. First year in the ACC. So 2-0 in Death Valley. 904 Hurricane turnovers will be key. I know it's a typical cliche. Yes, it is. All right. We got to move along here. AVO Entertainment. Offensive line not a strength at Clemson. They lost 4 starters. It's unproven, yes. Jessica, welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Honestly, I don't think this will be a close game. I think with our offensive schemes and play calling and notions, our talent will create big plays against a downhill Clemson D. I don't necessarily understand the evaluation of Clemson's defense. I understand that they can't have the greatest defensive front in the history of college football like they did 2 years ago. But at the same time, they're a very talented defense. And they haven't really shown us anything this year that would lead me to believe that they've got a ton of concerns. I know Virginia scored some points. They scored 17 points when it mattered. The last touchdown did not. Miami gave up 37 points to Louisville, 34 points to Louisville. I don't consider the last touchdown as really counting in that one. Yeah, good point about Trevor Lawrence and Tom Brady. Just talking about pressure on the quarterback, but Luke Walker brings up in my analogy of the Giants Patriots Super Bowl and the pass rush on Tom Brady being the difference in the game, that Trevor Lawrence is much more athletic, which he is, sure. You got Ned on the line, 38-27 Clemson. Score sounds familiar, which leads me to everyone needs to join me on Patreon. What you get there are exclusive live streams and content. You also get my top 25 that actually makes sense. If you have not consumed the top 25 that actually makes sense, you are missing a treat. A number of people on here would be able to fill you in on exactly why my top 25 is the top 25 that is different than all top 25s. And it's a top 25 not based on perception. It actually makes sense. And we've got our predictions there, 27-17 against the spread. All right, we better start breaking it down here and getting through these comments. Luke brings up a good point about the Miami offensive line. It might be improved, but it's certainly helped by the play calling. Miami fans act like their offensive line is good. Yes, this isn't 2018 Clemson's D-line, but they're still far better than Miami's O-line. Big disadvantage for the Canes right there. Better team doesn't always win. Should be given complete credit for the win. So this is what I'm saying, is that it's my right, just like it's your right, to watch two teams step off the field and say, I know that team won that other team, but I still believe the other team's better. Now, that doesn't change the result, and you can't argue it away. You can't make excuses. I hate when teams make excuses or fans make excuses, especially in bowl games, of saying, oh, our team didn't want to be there. Well, you know what? That's actually a bigger discredit to your team than had they shown up and tried and done their best to win the game and lost. I actually think it's a bigger indictment against a team, a coach, a program, when their team shows up at a bowl game or any game and there's an excuse of, well, they didn't show up, they didn't want to be there. You know what? There's a game to be played. This is big boy competitive athletics. Show up and play and show yourself to be, if there's competition on the field, then any true competitor should want to do everything they possibly can do and lay it all on the line to win that game. Not make excuses that we wanted to be in college football playoff and we're only playing in the Peach Bowl, so we're not going to try. Well, you know what? Then we're going to evaluate you based on that loss and say, you know what? We're not taking your excuse. You flat out lost the game. Your best versus their best. regardless of what you say, you lost. You should show up and play then. If you don't want to be evaluated in a certain light, then show up and play and win the game. So what I'm saying is that two teams can play a game. There can still be an evaluation that the loser is better than the winner for that particular game. But I think there has to be other evidence. You can't just. So Team A beats Team B, and Team A finishes the season 12-0, and Team B finishes 1-11. Well, then you've got nothing to substantiate your claim that Team B is the better team. But as in the case of Clemson Pitt in 2016, Pitt beats Clemson. Pitt goes 8-5, goes to a marginal bowl game, loses, I believe, that year to Northwestern. Clemson goes on and wins the national championship. Well, over the course of 13 to 14 to 15 games, Clemson has proven to be the better team than Pitt. Pitt beat them on one game. But if the evidence other than that one game doesn't add up to your conclusion, then your conclusion at least needs to be logical. So if Miami beats Clemson, and I tell you on Monday that I still believe that Clemson's the better team, but Clemson finishes the year 5-6, and Miami wins the national championship, or at least wins the ACC, or just finishes substantially better than Clemson, and I'm still sitting here at the end of the year saying Clemson's better, well, then that's a joke of an opinion, because it's not based on results and facts. Okay. There you go. That's what finally happens, B Mark 25, is that B Mars 25, I apologize. B Mars 25, certainly, once the game's played, all the talking is over. Anthony says that I like the direction the Canes are heading, but I still ain't see the wide receivers playing up to standards yet. And I'm not going to evaluate that in regards to their route running, their play after the catch. Just catch the ball. Catch the ball. Mark Pope, catch the ball. AVO Entertainment tells us UAB would be the best offensive line either Miami, Clemson have played. Virginia, close second. Okay. I follow college football about as closely as anybody. I will not make an opinion on the UAB offensive line. Leighton Smith, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is saying, why would Clemson play down to Miami? I don't see it. If Miami beats Clemson, they would need to be taken on that merit. Absolutely. The game results, all that matters. But you understand one team can have an off night and play down to its opponent. That's not an excuse. That happens all the time. Put it this way. I have Miami ranked just below Clemson, I believe. I believe I've got Clemson at 3, Miami at 5, I believe. If I remember correctly. Let's say Miami wins this game 31-30, and I still believe that Clemson's a better team. I am going to rank Miami ahead of Clemson. And for as long as Miami has the same record as Clemson, or at least maybe a game within Clemson, I will rank Miami ahead of Clemson because they beat the game. They beat the opponent. They won the game on the field. So my rankings will always reflect the results. My opinion's a different thing. I have Georgia ranked number 1 in the country right now. That doesn't mean I believe that they're the best team in the country. I believe that they have performed the best against the best opponents. The combination of dominating Arkansas, and I know Arkansas has been awful, but they turned around and beat Mississippi State, and then Auburn in dominant fashion is the most impressive resume right now. Right this second, there is not a more impressive resume than Georgia's. So for me, they're number 1. That doesn't mean that they're the best team in the country. Oh man, I gotta hustle here. Where are we? Not a whole new team. Kane Forever, I appreciate your comment and I understand it. It's not a whole new team. Teams go in transition. So it's never the same team and it's never a whole new team. It's partially the same team. It's actually mostly the same team. Now they may be smarter, better players, better athletes, developed. The coaches have learned and grown in their relationship with the players. All these things are in transition, in flux all the time, both in a positive light or a negative, declining way. We certainly see programs that decline. Not all programs are developing. And even if all programs were developing, it would not be reflected in the results because the results always have to say that there's a winner and a loser. So the loser can even be doing all the right things and developing its players, and the coaches can make all the right moves, but the opponent is just better. And so even though they're getting better and doing their job really well, somebody's got to lose the game. Chaos Gain. No, what I mean by that is you're saying if we be Clemson, people can still consider Clemson the better team. People consider. I have no issue with anybody's opinion as long as it makes sense, as long as there's some evidence or some facts and logic to back it up. If Team A is 6-6 and Team B is 6-6, then make an argument. If Team A is 8-4 and Team B is 6-6, then and you're saying Team B is better, then you better be able to justify that by talking about the schedule and maybe injuries and other things that could justify why they didn't win as many games. We're talking about 2 teams that are going to play Saturday night. So yes, the credit should be given completely to the team that wins the game. I'm just saying that it happens every week in college football that a team will beat another team, and then the results of the rest of the season will show us that that team wasn't the better team over the course of the season. They were on that particular day. Happens all the time. South Carolina went 4-8 last year. They beat Georgia, who went to the SEC championship game and won a Sugar Bowl and finished in the top 5 in the country. South Carolina, 4-8, beat that team. They're not better. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'll be a little bit clearer about it, or maybe I have been since you left that question, that boy. And I understand why you would leave that question, and I understand based on my evaluation. No, it's not based on talent. There's a talent component to it, absolutely. What do you got here, Kane Forever? How many great coaches went 6-7 their first year, and the 2 was 360? Oh, the second year they turned it around. Bob Stoops went 7-5 his first year at Oklahoma and won a national championship the next year. He comes to mind. Pete Carroll went below 500, 5-6 his first year at USC. Then he finished 10-2 at a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and won the Orange Bowl, finished in the top 5 in year 2. Jim Tressel, you may remember this, went 7-5 his first year at Ohio State and won a national championship 14-0 the next year. So I guess you're looking for coaches who had a marginal first year and then exploded. There's 3. Gus Malzahn did it his first year at Auburn. Nick Saban, 2007 Alabama, his first year, they went 7-6. Year number 2, won the national championship. All right. Shay says, whenever you get with your little Clemson fanboy, you just be agreeing with everything he says. I can't really think of what you're talking about. I'm on here to state my opinion and do my homework and provide analysis from my perspective that seems to be valuable to a certain extent by some people and not by others. And I agree when I agree. And so I don't come up with an opinion just for shock value. I don't throw out ridiculous predictions or state anything that I don't believe in. I don't do it just to shock people. So if I state like 10 straight predictions or 10 straight evaluations or something that people are like, well, that's boring. That's what everybody knows. Well, if that's the truth and that's what I believe as well, then maybe we're all just right about those particular things. But then on the flip side, if I throw out an opinion that everyone's like, you're crazy, or a lot of people say you're crazy, I didn't do it just to shock people. I just give it straight my perspective, regardless of who I'm going to upset. So I don't pander to Miami people on my Miami channel. And I also don't just tell you trash talk Miami and hate on Miami just to get you guys riled up to watch. I don't do either. I think that's been clearly proven out through the years that I give my analysis straightforward. And sometimes that's going to be very pro Miami to say, this is done well. This has been awesome. This has been amazing. Or it's, you're not cutting it. This is not good. This is not up to standards. And that's been proven out video after video after video after video, analysis after analysis after analysis for years and years and years, that I just approach Miami just like every other team. I tell you what I believe is the case and what is fair. So yes, I have been on here by myself or with a guest and just shook my head to all the great Miami accolades throughout the years because they're obvious. I produced a series in which I looked at disputed national championships throughout the years, whether that be 1983, 84, 2000, 1990. And my conclusion in many of those was even in 1990, when Miami was not in serious on the final game of the season, in the postseason on the day of the bowl games, in serious contention for a national championship and didn't finish close to that, I pretty much laid it out that actually Miami was most likely the best team in the country. So some analysis will conclude with Miami is actually better than everybody thinks in this category, or I think they're excellent here in this category, whether that be today's team or throughout the ages. And then there are going to be other things where I'm going to have to tell the truth, like I did several months ago in evaluating Miami's performance over the last 15 years and say, this has been a marginal football program. And these are the facts. This isn't my opinion. I am taking all the facts and then I'm stating an opinion based on all the facts. When a program only wins 57% of its games over 15 years, doesn't win any conference championships, goes 11 straight years without winning a bowl game. And there are 43 other teams in the country during that time frame that have finished in the top 10 in the final AP top 10 during a 15-year span. 43 teams. There's only 5 conferences and then a few scattered group of 5 teams. So that's almost 8 plus teams per conference that have finished in the AP top 10 since the last time Miami did. Those added up to a marginal program over the last 15 years. That doesn't discredit or discount the popularity of the program. That doesn't discount or discredit the dominance, sheer dominance of the program in the year 1983 or from 87 especially. And they were good in 84, 85, 86, but especially 86 to 94. And then, of course, in 2000, 01, 02, 03. Some of the greatest teams of all time. So I tell it like it is. The good, the bad. Mike is saying Clemson loses to us in Notre Dame. Facts. Facts are actually something that's already happened, but that's fine. Chaos Kane, I'm right on board with you in regards to nobody wants a consolation prize, second place trophies. But I do believe in watching your program develop from being a program that was marginal last year and the year before, and a team that was marginal, but you've got a ton of talent and you see the possibilities. You see the hope this year that you can walk away from this game, even if you lose this game, and feel good about your team and where your program's headed. So there's a big picture view to this too. It's not all just about let's win this game. The game is huge, yes, but also is the evaluation of the program and where it's headed. And if they walk off the field a 35-31 loser in a great game, then you're not going to be happy with that. You shouldn't be happy as a competitor rooting for your team. You shouldn't be happy, but you should feel good overall that, okay, this is not what we would have seen last year or the year before, or even in 2017. This is not what we would have seen against that program. What we saw was 38-3 in the ACC championship game, even in a year in which we won the division and started 10-0. So when is the last time we would have seen us play this way to the wire against that kind of team? It's been forever. And let's understand that teams only get few opportunities to play the elite. So it's not like you're getting beaten down by the best teams in college football every week. You only get to play a Clemson, fill in the blank with any other school that fits this narrative. You only get to play them once in a while, depending on your conference. John David, last year, our quarterbacks and the offensive line unit wasn't the right fit for that power offense. That boy says for all the Clemson talent, so they have more talent on average, but they have 35 4 stars on 247. Miami has 35 4 stars. The difference is Clemson has how many 5 stars? 11-1. Appreciate the info there. .904 Hurricane. You probably are not hearing this, but thank you so much for joining us. We got AO Rock likes the Canes to win 31-27. I'd like to remind everyone, here's my situation now. I am no longer employed. Therefore, this is it. This is the revenue right here. This is it. So basically, we're going full throttle here on our channel, the Miami channel, and also consider to subscribe over at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, our main channel, if you love college football across the board, or You just want to lock in on Miami, but you want to support us over there, please sub. All right. I am falling further and further behind on these comments. So I will let everyone know. How many do we even have in the chat? See, I've had this screen blown up the entire time. We've got 158 on the line. I don't know what that ballooned to at one point. It usually just keeps going up and up and up and up. So I appreciate everybody. I've been trying to take all the questions in the comments that are directed toward me or just in general comments about the game and really breaking them down, as you can see, so we could be here all night. But I will remind everyone that at 7 o'clock tonight, the Clemson boys will be on here to talk college football with you. So please pay them some respect. That doesn't mean you withhold anything. Trash talk all you want. Go to it. Have fun. 7 o'clock Eastern time. Kane Forever, let's understand also, I get your point about losing some of your best players against Clemson in 17. The game was 38-3. And also understand that Mark Richt was your coach. And so that's just the point. He was your coach for better sometimes and for worse at other times. I think it could have been a situation had he not placed his faith and allegiances in certain places that he could have had a successful run because he knows what he's doing. But his heart was elsewhere, and it probably worked out for the best. But there are teams that win championships that miss key players every year. It hurts, and health is a huge consideration. All right, Ricky, what do you got for us? If Clemson beats Miami and Notre Dame and they beat everyone else, they will be 10-1 each. Clemson beats Miami and Notre Dame. Anyway, 10-1 each. So since they don't play each other, who will Clemson play for the ACC championship game? Okay. Miami goes 10-1. Notre Dame goes 10-1. They don't play each other. Yes. I wrestled with that one myself. And I have Googled that to try to find the answer because I would think that it would come to common opponents. But I hope beyond hope that the rankings don't play into this, because the rankings should have absolutely nobody's opinion should come into play to determine who plays in a conference championship game. The best way to decide that situation is common opponents. What are their records against common opponents? So unfortunately, their record in that situation is going to be their common opponent record is going to be the same. It's basically going to be undefeated. They don't play each other. If somebody's got that answer, that'd be great. But I would guess it's going to be a college football playoff selection committee rankings decision, because you run into the common opponents issue. I would go common opponents, which is going to be the same. And I would hate to award one team over the other for going 6-0. Yeah, it's going to work out the same anyway. That is a great question. I have Googled that. I've tried to find that, and I have not been able to find how they're going to determine that, because it's easy in the Big 12. Everybody plays everyone. So if there's a tie for second place to determine the Big 12 championship game participant, then you just go head to head. Mike Gesey, actually, Clemson won a national championship in 1981. Whoa, this popped on the screen. Bam. Crip, good to see you, man. Let's get this win, Canes, I believe. Oh, I believe. Thank you so much for the contribution, Crip. Again, my situation is I'm devoting myself entirely to what we're doing here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, on our Miami channel, our Ohio State channel, and our main channel. And this is full throttle all the time. I have made a life-changing decision, and this is what it leads to: building out these platforms as much as they possibly can be built. I've had a vision for a number of years. I have been, in addition to working 45 or 50 hours at a regular job, have been here working another 40 hours or more, because in addition, you got to understand, to all the content that I produce, that I get out there and I try to sell things and push things along. I'm actually going to check this call just in case. But I will be returning that call in just a minute, but just wanted to say hi to everyone and thank you so much. I got super chats coming in here, but that's my situation right now. Is I've been pushed against the wall in a situation that just led me to make a decision that you got to go for your hopes and your dreams and your visions. And if you work hard, the right things will happen. And so it's been my goal and my aim to make this happen and make this work with your help. So I appreciate it in any way that it can come. And we've got our guy Ashley here. My prediction, if Miami and Notre Dame both lose to Clemson, is common opponents and who had the better loss to Clemson. So that's a good thought there too as well, Ashley. So basically the common opponents, though, would be exactly the same, because if they both played 5 opponents and they both lost to Clemson, then they'd both be 5-0 against those opponents, unless it was trickier than that. They were both 8-3 or 9-2, but if they're both 10-1, then of course they're undefeated against everyone else, and the common opponents record is going to be exactly the same. Yes, it could come down to, and I think that could be a good tiebreaker, that if one of them loses to Clemson 38-10 and the other game's 35-31, then you send that team that performed better against the best team in the league to the ACC championship game. I want to recognize another super chat that came in, and then I really should take this. Let's see. And you guys are going to have an opportunity tonight to jump back on here at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So please take that opportunity. And also tomorrow, stay tuned for a notification on a Miami Live. We got the Wholesome one lined up, but we're trying to figure out when we can get our schedules to mesh sometime in the afternoon on Friday. Charles says, Mark, you're a legend. You are too kind, Charles. I'm just a hard-working man. And thank you for the videos. Go Canes. Charles, I thank you so much for the contribution. It's amazing what you guys do. I just, every time I see, I don't want to tie it to finances, likes, comments. When I posted that video, it's been now 29 days ago when I had to shut down the other channel and posted the video, and I received 300 or 400 comments in addition to the ones on Twitter and all over the place from all of you. It was just amazing. It is almost embarrassing how much it touched me, but thank you so much, Charles, for the comment. But when people financially give, just understand that I'm doing this full-time, full throttle, and I want to build this into something that we all can be proud of. And this is the voice of college football. Charles, thank you so much for the contribution. I hope I'm not missing another one. I believe that's the one. Crip's on here as well. And thank you so much, everybody. Again, Ashley chiming in with the ACC championship game scenario. Believe me, I started looking that one up. The reason why is that I picked Miami 8-3. Full disclosure here, folks. I picked Miami not to go to the ACC championship game. I picked you 8-3. I did overestimate last year at 8-4 when you went 6-6, and 2 years ago at 9-3 when you went 7-5. But this year, I picked the Canes 8-3. I picked Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and North Carolina 9-2. So I didn't sit down and just boom, boom. They're going to go 9-2. They're going to go 8-3. I went through all the games, and that's what it just came out to. So I've got a 3-way tie to figure out between Notre Dame, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech at 9-2. And I looked it up all over the place, couldn't find the answer. But I went through the NFL rules. That's the way I would do it. But I hope that the rankings don't come into play. Everyone, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your support and loyalty. And even if you don't agree with me We are here to deliver the best analysis we possibly can, and of course, discussion and debate with you on college football and the Canes in particular. Enjoy the game Saturday night. We'll be back at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight to talk Clemson, Miami, of course. I think that's the game, isn't it? Yeah, Clemson, Miami on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. We've got the Clemson guys here. You won't see me. The Clemson guys are here. I will be at the day job tonight, and your Clemson friends will be right here to talk college football and the wholesome one, hopefully on Friday, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Join us on Patreon as well. See you soon. Oh, I think somebody else chimed in here. Did I miss it? We're good. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.